Today, we understand from another very successful women business leader. So I'd like to invite Sheetal to ask Sheetal to invite Laurence. Introduce Laurence.
Laurence is an experienced general manager in the information technology and service industry with expertise in transformation and team management. She has been traveling constantly across the globe since 15 years while leading IBM global business units. Laurence and her family has lived in Paris, France, also in Singapore, and now resides in New York, USA. In the year 2016, during a business mission, she discovered breath meditation in India at Pyramid Valley International, Bangalore. And in 2017, she started teaching mindfulness and meditation in the workplace. In the year 2019, she has become the senior executive sponsor of mindfulness in business, IBM, and reached out to thousands of executives and employees. She also likes hiking in wild nature, reading books, and is engaged in support of people with disabilities. Welcome, Laurence.
Yeah, thank you, Shita. Thank you for this introduction. And thank you, everyone. It was a great meditation. So we are still just full of this beautiful energy from the universe. So I guess I would like to share some of the benefits of mindfulness meditation. I would say in the workplace. Of course, it also has an impact on the private life. And first message would be for those who are joining us and recently starting meditation. I am not a yogi from the Himalayas, so I only started less than 4 years ago in Bangalore during a business trip. And I would say that practicing only the last 3 years has been really transforming my life at home as well as in a business. And it can happen very, very fast. So usually after a few weeks, and you are in this workshop for a few weeks, you will see the benefit on your daily life. To mention some of them, and first of all, on the meditation itself. So just to share with you, I'm meditating every day. I'm usually meditating for a long time at night. I'm more like a night person. During the weekend, I like meditating also in the morning, so morning and night. During the week, when I was traveling before the COVID, I would meditate more at night or during the travels. It can be in a taxi or it can be in a plane. It doesn't matter, it can be in a train. And I practice Anapanasati, means the brace mindful meditation. So the first benefit were obviously on health. And Chandra has been talking about this quite a while. And it's really something that happened very fast. I nearly immediately, after starting meditation, I improved dramatically the sleep. I needed less sleep. And when you are working, it could be like 2 hours a day. And so it's like 7-8 hours a week that were given back to me because of the meditation. And the quality of sleep was there, which means that my energy was very high and lasted all day long. When I was in a special mission, like for instance an acquisition, I could sleep maybe 3-4 hours every night for 3 weeks without feeling the fatigue. Okay, but I learned also from Chandra, by the way, to listen to my body. And so because I was meditating, I was aware of my health, my needs, and knew how to recover. But for in the workplace, it's very good to have the energy. The diet also, I was not a vegetarian. I was born and raised in France. It's really not a vegetarian country. But I changed my diet nearly right away, and overnight I became a vegetarian. And I lost weight. I needed less food. I stopped my addiction to chocolate. I still eat chocolate, but it's not an addiction anymore. So, you know, this time where you have to do a proposal or something at work and you are on it and you start thinking, oh, I would like to have a piece of chocolate, and it just takes your minds and you go crazy and you can think only about this. All of this is gone, right? So that was really useful in my daily business. The second aspect was the fear. So the fear that is sometimes very conscious, but also unconscious. This fear on somebody, your boss said something, or your budget was cut, or you believe you're not good enough, or your team will not be good enough. So you keep worrying. That's one thing that disappeared. It means that became more aware of these emotions and the fact that it was useless most of the time to worry. Okay, the fact also that thanks to the meditation and awareness of this emotion, the ability to recognize immediately the fear. And as an example, for instance, you might be a very senior leader. After more than 30 years in a business, something goes wrong, at work. Somebody's not happy, or there is a problem with a client, and somebody might be nearly yelling at you, and you have two choices. Either you react, which was what I was doing before meditating. So you react and you feel like a 12 years old kid, that the teacher is yelling at you and you don't know what to do. Or thanks to the meditation, you recognize this emotion coming up to you and you know how to breathe. You know what is going on in your body and in your mind. You are aware of it. And instead of reacting, you respond. Okay, so you have this freedom to respond to the emotion and the fear that is coming up. Okay, so that's very key, because in very tense situation, it can be with a colleague, with an employee, with a client, with a partner. It's really extremely useful to see this emotion coming, be mindful about it. And thanks to the meditation, because you are doing that 1 million times, coming back to the breath, then your mind is coming back to, thanks to this awareness, to what you really want to respond to. So that has helped me in many, many situations. I was recently a general manager, especially in migrating to the cloud. And the migration in the IT industry is happening during the night, during the weekend. And you better keep your calm no matter what happens and manage the emotion if something is going wrong. It's also helping you to be more entrepreneurial, because you are able to think about risk as a potential instead of risk as something could go wrong. So it's really developing the creativity around bold idea and being able to try to do something else, something new, or see the big picture because of this awareness. You also stop judging. So when you are in team meeting and so on, you know that we all have what we call this unconscious bias. We are not sometimes aware that we make judgment even before we know we have made a judgment. When you meditate on a regular basis, it comes naturally to you that you are aware that, for instance, you just made a judgment about, a colleague who said an idea and you don't even listen to the idea. You already decided that it's not a good idea. When you are open-minded, thanks to meditation, you are really listening very carefully, intensely, and you can identify a great idea, even from somebody who looks a little shy or not look like you, but had a great idea. So that has been helping me a lot in creating new strategy or deciding to invest in some specific assets or or part of the business. The most impactful, really fast, was this notion of being present. You really have 100% of your attention on something. So, for instance, I discovered, thanks to meditation and reading books, I've been reading a lot of books in the last 3 years, that we all believe, many people believe, that multitasking is being heroic, is being a great leader. I multitask, I can do 10 things at the same time. I have everything under control. Anything you will read about what is going on in the brain, and it's science demonstrated that when you multitask, you are 50 to 80% less effective, more like in 80% less effective. And so thanks to meditation, you completely change, your belief, and you are able to, put on the table all concept, multitasking is great. No, it's not great. You need to be focused. You need to be concentrated. And how you do that is thanks to the meditation, because again, 1,000,000 times, you're going to put back your attention to the breath, and in a daily life, it's going to come up naturally to you. So it's effective with client. It's effective with when you give feedback to someone. You are really there. You are present. Of course, it's also very effective at home. And after the first year of meditating, my husband told me it was the best year of our life, and I've been married 33 years. Everybody was enjoying, and I said, why do you say that? And he said, because when you are here, you really are here. Okay, so it happens also with clients. I had discussion with clients, and they realize you can listen to them, you can really digest what they are saying, and then you can really respond to what they are looking for. It's very useful also for creating networking and relationship. This is what we call the science of friendship. I strongly believe this is a critical attribute. And when you meditate, when you are aware of yourself, when you are present, when you can be focused and listen well, you develop with an open mind these new relationships. Even with people that naturally from your childhood or your education you would not go to, but you go there. And in my case, I am part of this group since many years, and enjoying the PSSM groups across the world. And sometimes I'm the only non-Indian person, and that's fine. But you would have told me that 10 years ago, I would say, me with 500 people from India, are you nuts or what? Right? So this open mind is coming with the meditation, because you completely reshuffle your old belief, the way you had creating, how to react, how to be, who you should be with, and so on. So everything is, completely upside down. You put the people first, and you develop this sense of gratitude. We do, like in IBM, we do, like in many companies, employee surveys, okay, and people can express what they feel. Well, when you develop a culture around being mindful, being compassionate, and develop some action about it, and one of them is gratitude, expressing gratitude, a simple thank you, recognizing people, and so on. It's not like by program, it's because it's part of yourself. You have become compassionate, truly compassionate. And compassion doesn't mean naive or yes, everything is fine and I live in Disneyland. Compassion is really putting yourself in the shoes of others, okay, and understand in a easy or not easy part of the day in business. So this notion of compassionate management and expressing gratitude can make miracle with a team, inside a team. For instance, in my team, we had developed a mantra. Let's say we said always, we are one team, we count on each other. It looks very basic and simple. But when you talk about it and you truly live through this, I can tell you, when it's 2 a.m. in the morning, you are in a very complex, cloud migration, and something, is going wrong, or we need a special expert and you need to call somebody at 2 a.m. This is where the beauty of gratitude and compassion is coming up. And this is really part of you and your DNA, because when you meditate and you practice every day, it's something that looks natural to you. This notion that Chandra talked a little bit about already, and we'll talk a lot about it, is this kind of miraculous thinking. Half glass full, half glass empty, okay? Because you meditate and because you are aware of yourself, you realize when something is coming up, because we are human beings and we have emotion, and I still have emotion, but you identify it. And when the negative thought might come up, you can stop it because you are aware of it. So you start trusting your intuition. You start trusting that the universe has your back, and you connect the dots. Everything looks like, wow. As an example, very simple one, but at some point I really wanted to move to India, to try to spend maybe 2 years and working over there, but it was not really part of the, what was available. And my husband was not so keen to move because we have a handicapped kid. It was complicated. But guess what happened? I meditated on this for like maybe 3 months. I needed a solution to keep being connected with India because I was learning a lot. I love India. I was learning meditation. I was asked to change job and to take a brand new job. I had to create a new business unit. It was quite complicated. But when I took my interview with the boss who was trying to convince me to take the job, guess what? It was somebody from India. And when I opened the video and I saw this person, I didn't know who was going to propose the job. I was like, okay, I'm not going to India, but 70% of my team is in India. My new boss is from India, living between India and Bangalore, actually, and the US. I'm all set. And because of this mindset of miraculous thinking, I was thinking, okay, I really vision that this is manifesting now. Okay, so, and I was actually extremely happy, and of course I accepted the job. The next part is the decision making, because you have clarity, so you make faster decision. And sometimes it would take me like 3 months to think about something again and again. I was like observing all the options, and I was wondering, do I have enough information, and so on. Well, it's really happening very soon, very often, that instead of 3 months, it takes me like 3 days and sometimes even 3 hours, because I trust, I trust my heart, I trust my intuition. Of course, I have taken enough information, but I go faster into a decision because I have more clarity of mind and I am not overwhelmed by the emotion. Okay, so all of this create a lot of productivity, more performance, and help being more creative also, and take some risk. So that really helps. And actually, we have material feedback with surveys to do this. And my last point would be, after about 3 months meditating, learning meditation, the benefits were so obvious. And including around me, people were asking what I was doing, including my family. When I was a little bit nervous at home, back from my day, they would tell me, okay, you go and meditate and come back in 15 minutes. Okay, so fine. Something was really happening. But after 3 months, I started to think I should have known all of this, 20, 30 years ago. It would have saved me a lot of negative energy or wasting energy. Because all the guilt, all the blame about everybody and so on would have been gone. All of this value would have helped me a lot, including in my family life. And so I was wondering, how could I help my co-workers? Can I do something? I started to talk to someone who told me, you're crazy if you do that. I mean, it was 2017, early 2017. If you do that, people will believe that, you want to go to the Himalayas or you lost your mind. Don't talk about meditation, and so on. Again, go back to the previous point I was making, the fear is gone. So I knew I had to do some things. And actually, I was working very closely with Chandra. We were in the same team. And we started discussing. And again, synchronicity made me meet some people in the organization that had already done some mindfulness. I discovered, there was a mindfulness group inside IBM. At that time, they were a pretty small group, but still, 2,000 people. And meeting also some people from HR, always working with HR is my advice. And then we decided, to propose, a small group of executive and teach them what was meditation, mindfulness. And step by step, creating a group with, like, every Wednesday, people could come and meditate, connecting with other people. And step by step, it became a real movement. At the same time, we were reading a lot of books and see what was happening in other companies. Doing research is really key. So my message here is, wherever you are, as long as you practice and you have these benefits, even sitting for one person is valuable in the workplace. And it's doable pretty much everywhere. When I had client meetings, or for instance, multi-client lunch or things like that, I was amazed at the beginning. Actually, when I started, for instance, they were saying that I was eating vegetarian. So the discussion came up and I was talking about I'm mindful about what I'm eating. Most of the time, there would be at least 50% of the people who were either practicing, interested, or curious about what it was. And when you engage this kind of conversation, I can tell you the business meeting itself completely changed, because there was a kind of creation of a different relationship at a different level, human being connection, which is extremely powerful. I'm not saying that everything is, again, Disneyland, but it's really something critical. So a lot of people are interested. Their kids have mindfulness at school, for instance, or students are learning mindfulness. My future daughter-in-law, when she was at school, she's a nurse now, but 2 years ago she was still at school. They were doing mindfulness and meditation session. And so I took a vow that every day in my life I would talk about mindfulness and meditation to at least one person a day. And it's a very simple tip. But believe me, if you apply that, you're going to meet a lot of people that today you don't even know about. It's really working. So you start small. The very beginning, so it was my dentist, my doctor, my neighbors, my co-workers. I was in a plane, I would talk to someone, and so on and so on. But is that we can really transform the workplace. And it's absolutely doable. So that's my experience. I'm available, and we are now creating this Buddha CEO Foundation. And the idea is really to help any company, any enterprise, no matter what size, get the benefit of this for the individuals, for the teams, and of course for thriving the business and the communities. I really deeply believe it can transform, the way the society is doing. I decided to live until 120 years. I read the book. So, and I have finally found my purpose. I have two purposes. The one is that the world should meditate, everybody, so they could be happy, because it brought happiness. At the end of the day, it's really about being joyful and happy. And the second point is that I want to live older than my sons. So I think with this, I should accomplish. It's about practice. So to everyone here, it's not an intellectual exercise. So practice, practice, practice would be my last words. Every day. That's how you get the benefits. If you just talk about it, it's interesting, but you won't feel the benefits. So it's really about practice. And back to you, Chandra.
That's great. Thank you, Laurence. Always very practical information. This is all real stuff that you experienced in your life. It's so heartening to know that you said all it took was about 3 months for this lot of transformation to happen. And it happened so quickly for you. And then so is the case with me. And then so it happens very quickly. When we are fully in it, that's a great quality of, by the way, many leaders. And I'm seeing this, the leaders who come in, we are fully in it. We know one leg here, one leg there. Either you're in it or out, right? Because when you are in it with somebody, then we are fully learning. So Laurence said, all it took was a little less than 3 months to actually see a lot of benefits. And very quickly mood going through the body became very healthy. Food cravings have come down, not gone away. I mean, in the sense she lives, she still loves chocolate, I'm sure. And then you are giving me, and then we don't give up anything. It's just that we give up that excessive eating, excessive sleeping, excessive talking, all of that. Right? So become very mindful. So that she has practically seen body energy increase. I remember still, Laurence, a lot of your experience said, hey, too much energy is coming into my body, this and that. And then Laurence said, it became first and foremost thing, stopped yelling at or getting yelled at. When you are in a situation where you are being part of a situation, so you're becoming very mindful. I think that, she said, is one of the most important benefits. Helping stay calm in situations and becoming more empathetic. We all understand this. And for a business leader, it's so important, and as you know it, for everybody in the work life. And I remember there are so many situations where some leaders bully you. When they bully you, when they are hard at you, or otherwise, employees are a little hard at you, then you got to be stable, calm, and all that. So that's what she's saying. Became entrepreneurial mindset. That's great. Being open, trying to try little things. Fear of failure, you lose. I think she's done. I've worked for her, and the amount of work she's done, as she was saying, the amount of work and amount of mindfulness promotion she's done is incredible in the organization. Incredible. Alone, she's taught thousands and thousands, maybe more than 20,000 people she would have taught in IBM alone. She said, I became very present moment aware. That means I gave up on multitasking. Like that commando, like that heroism of doing multiple things. I gave up on multitasking. And multitasking is 80% less productive than single tasking. Focus, concentration. They're all coming automatically, by the way. She's not talked about any special practice, has she? She didn't even say, apart from meditation, do this, do that. She's not even said, everything is naturally happening. All it required was that sincere, serious practice into meditation. This present moment awareness is so important for particularly managers. We're giving feedback. We don't give unbiased feedback. We are actually listening to the participant, particularly because we all know when you're doing performance appraisals, it's never easy, right? And you don't like to give something about somebody. But then because of a contract in an organization setting, we got to give some feedback, and the other person may be ready, not ready. If you are meditated on the other side, you'll be very ready. And if you are meditated at this side, you are absolutely be very open to understand what the person is talking. So she is saying, we become very aware when you're giving things like those critical situations, right? And her husband told her she is the best person who has discovered her after so many years. Wonderful, right? That's what is happening. For the family members are telling, hey, you're different. Many children are telling my parents, you're different now. Compassionate gratitude attitude. So she gave a very practical example. What does it mean at work life? At 2 a.m. there is a problem, and we're all one team, and you extend that compassion and then to everybody. Then you say, okay, it's one team, even though the problem may be from Ram or John, but if I'm called in, so I will still go and help. That's being compassionate. You don't say, oh, this is somebody's problem, right? So I think that's what she's saying. It becomes very practical in organizations. I love it. She developed miraculous thinking, right? Accepting miraculous thinking. Then she said, I'm making my decisions very quickly. Clarity, a lot of clarity. Meditation is giving so much clarity that you, of course, as a leader, you take information. You are taking logically, but then you also taking, you got the gut feel right. You got the clarity right, so quick decisions, big or small. And then I think last thing she said is, in 3 months, once I recognized the benefits of it so much that I could not but extensively promote it, and then discover that mindfulness community. It's not a taboo anymore. That otherwise, that you talk about this to people, you feel that, okay, what do they think? Oh, I'm practicing some kind of religious practice. No. So every time she went to clients, she was talking about it to the clients, where you always want your business and you feel every word I speak has to be like really super, right? But then you talk about it. By the way, I did it for a long time. I used to just constantly give magazines and books. It's easy to invest 300 rupees So far, by now, people should be having these magazines. The Spiritual India and Spiritual Science. If you're not subscribed, please do. Because the Spiritual Science is introducing a master. Spiritual India introduces one Indian master. Spiritual Science introduces one Western master every month, right? India has so much richness of meditation culture, we know it. And then so is West. So these two magazines, if you have, then we are constantly, one, you getting to know, but two, I used to give these magazines. Every month I finish, what do I do with them? And I just go and then give it to a set of people. And I get about 20 magazine copies every month with me, and then I'm giving them. Constantly carry books, the magazines and books. But she was constantly talking about it to dear friends. And she made a oath that every day at least one person she wants to tell. Every day one person. You don't spare anybody, your doctor, your maid, whoever it is, right? Whoever that comes along the way, anyone that you tell one person. And then just that having that intent itself will attract people into our life. And then we make that person just educate, awareness, or teach, one of those two, right? Whatever that is possible in the given time. So thank you, Laurence. So we'll take from Ramani sir a quick observation.
Thank you, Mrs. Laurence. This is not just kind of a hearsay or anything. This is something just come out of your own practice, what you did it and how you have experienced it. I haven't heard such a lucid expression of the benefits of meditation. What you have learned, yesterday Chandra was mentioning about learning and sharing. You have learned all these years, and believe me, in these about 25 minutes, you have shared it with so many people. I am sure it's highly convincing, and this will encourage many of us to take it forward from this level. Amazing. I've been making notes of the one thing. One very important point, what you said about the science of friendship. It's a great concept. How it takes us to a different level. Meditation takes us to a different level. It just makes us realize who we are, this Aham Brahmasmi, and the science of friendship getting across. So transformation of an individual, transformation of an organization, transformation of a society. I think this is going to be what we call as a Swarga, the heaven. And that is exactly what is being the pathway to that kind of a living. Ideal living for everyone. Thank you, Laurence, so much for the wonderful disposition. And thanks, Chandra, for this great opportunity. Karthikeyanji and SVB sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. We will definitely hear from SVB sir as a successful business leader. Sir, your observation.
Mrs. Laurence, I take one lesson from you today. Practice meditation. Your quality of life will go on improving. Thank you, Laurence, for the exhaustive references on various qualities you are able to improve, achieve by undergoing the meditation, and your absolute decision to go on teaching meditation to at least one person every day. And not only that, you made the biggest, world best IBM company employees to undergo meditation and improve not only their quality, but also quality of the company or corporate itself. Thank you, Mr. Laurence, for sharing your views. Thank you. Thank you, Chandra.
Thank you, sir. Coming from you, practice. I think is a mantra for all of us. Thank you. Karthikeyan, sir, with you, we close the session. Yeah, with you.
Congratulations. What an amazing sharing. What an amazing, inspiring transformation. And so beautifully sharing all aspects of this. Inspiring everyone who is already there will continue. I wish more and more people are able to hear what you have gone through and how beautifully expressed it. Transformation of the individual, all aspects, their family, the company. You see, transforming the workplace. I think your presence itself should be doing it because you express so much of glow and genuineness in you. And also to say that how within 3 months you could do achieve it's a hope for everybody. For everybody who even attends this once, they will not leave it now. And I'm happy to show that Chandra had plays an important role in your transformation.
Yes.
You learned from him, and you came to know the Pyramid Valley, and you have been coming, and you are so committed to India and its values. That's amazing. It's one of the most inspiring transformational stories I've ever heard. Congrats to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Your validation means a lot. This is great. Yes, workplace transformation. Our goal, part of these sessions, and then you've been so much power behind in reaching out to as many people, is to transform as leaders. Many people who are in this, I'm sure you are leaders in your own way, in your own right, and have access to so many resources as well as the environment. So our goal is to help make that impact in whichever way possible, and then we're all part of it. So thank you so much, sir. Laurence will be available for a few questions. Hi, sir. Karthikeyan sir is there, so thank you. It's good to have you.
No.
Yes.
I wanted to stay on to hear that melodious, inspiring voice of Laurence.
Oh, okay.
What an amazing.
I will try to keep it.
Really.
It's the French accent.
Amazing. You are held such a very, very responsible position, gone through challenging, but also you had some challenging family situations and all that. But how did you get this calmness and confidence and serenity, which you are, without even speaking, you are, it emanates from you.
Well, I meditate. What can I say? Everything I mentioned is true. I mean, one thing that was, I didn't mention the detail, but even at the beginning of meditating, it was very early. The first few weeks, I used to call Chandra, and I was telling him, Chandra, what is going on with me? I'm losing weight. I don't need to sleep. I'm feeling always so happy. Am I going crazy? And I even went to the doctor to tell the same thing. And the doctor told me, are you feeling okay? I said, yeah, I feel super okay. Do you have energy? Yeah, I have super energy. And he said, so what's the point? So I said, but it's not normal. I feel different. And so he started to smile, and I know the guy since 15 years. And suddenly he opened up and said, I meditate also since 20 years. So you should feel okay. It's fine. And you know what? This notion about responding instead of reacting has changed my life. You know, this quote from Viktor Frankl that is saying that there is a little gap between the input and the way you're gonna respond to it. This is where your freedom is. You know, Viktor Frankl, for those who don't know, was a psychologist who went to Auschwitz during the World War II. And he survived. And out of that, he wrote many books, and he explained that when you have a purpose, you can survive anything. But one of the key things he discovered was this notion of responding versus reacting, and this is where lies your freedom. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm not saying it's always easy. I was mentioning one of the tips I got from, I think it's Pema Chodron. I was reading a book. Is when you feel the emotion coming up, that is not a good one, because you can be angry or things like that. You recognize it, and you give yourself only 12 seconds. And then you move back to the positive. So all of these things, thanks to meditation, I could realize that. So all the guilt, I practice love and kindness meditation, like Chandra is doing at the end, the gratitude. It's really helping me. And well.
You said you have graduated from reacting to responding.
Yes.
So you react immediately. To respond, does it take time? You have to allow some gap?
No, it's it doesn't take time. It's it takes less and less time because it's like automated in your body that you recognize the emotion. So for example, something is telling you something bad, right? So you don't like it, and you really have two choices, and it can be it's in a few seconds. So or imagine you are driving, and somebody is cutting the road in front of you in a bad way. You might react as you are angry, you're gonna yell, you're gonna say bad words, everybody in your car will be completely scared and nothing listening because the mood is now very bad in the car. It can happen. Or you respond as, okay, these things happen, you were frightened probably, you recognize that it's maybe anger, but it's maybe also you were frightened because there was a risk. And then you realize it very fast in your mind and you decide to let go. Okay, it's
that
really
takes time. That takes time.
Well, less and less time, I can tell you.
Over a period of time.
It's nearly
Normal emotion is reacting immediately, instantly.
yes.
Respond, you think.
Yeah, but it can go super fast.
If you practice meditation, maybe.
But I'm not saying we are all human beings. Emotion is good.
Yeah.
So let's not misunderstand. Emotion is good, is needed. It would be really boring if there was no emotion, right? And emotion is good because you might be angry because there is a real risk, or you are really frightened, right?
If you are angry, you react.
You react. You have the emotion immediately, but you can decide to respond and to let go the anger and not get the cortisol.
No, I entirely agree. I understand what you mean. I was just logically arguing. Now tell me, you have been practicing last 20 years?
No. I have been practicing only since 3 years.
Since?
3 years.
3 years.
3 years. And somebody was asking the question. I practice, the 1 minute by year of age. So let's say for me, it's not really an hour, but actually I'm trying to do an hour, and sometimes in the weekend I like to do 2 times an hour, so in the morning and at night. And thanks to Chandra, actually I go back on these days. It's really great because I go on YouTube and I use your because I have the time zone in the US, so I use the precedent recording that you made, and I use that to meditate in the morning, the US morning. And so I have the US morning, and then I can.
Tell me, people, I see you now. We have been maybe last few months time I'm seeing. But people who have known you earlier, 3 years earlier, and of course now, do they find a difference in your presence? The presence itself, they find, you see, there's so much of grace and glow you're emanating now. I'm telling you, being truthful. But people who have known you much longer, they say they see change. They're able to change the transition from the Laurence 3 years earlier and the Laurence now after meditation. Their family members are outsiders.
Yes, that my colleagues, told me that, and before that, I was still a kind leader, right? I was practicing kindness. I was very competitive, maybe too much competitive, but I was practicing kindness. But the most difficult compliment to get as you have changed was really from my husband.
That's very important. That's the most important factor.
And also my kids. But
please repeat. What did he say? What did your husband say?
Well, we were with friends, and we were having a dinner, and at some point, somebody was asking question about this and meditation, and my husband, named Daniel, said, "Well, it has been the best year of our life," and he said, "He's not really practicing," so he said, there is something about this meditation, but it has changed the life at home. And I was like, wow, because it was not expected, and
That's
it doesn't give so many compliments. So
that is a real tribute to meditation.
yes. So it's going to be part of the book when we write it. But I'm not the only one. Many of my colleagues, as Chandra was saying, have said that you know, there was a story about a woman who was always trying to be perfect, and when she was doing a birthday party or whatever, she was completely obsessed and super stressed and so on. She started meditation in IBM with me, and she called me one Monday morning because she said, I decided to let go. I prepared everything, but I took my time, and during the event, I went to talk to everybody, I was enjoying myself and so on. And that night, her own son called her and said, Mom, I don't know what you are doing, but please keep doing it.
My
Because
God,
it's so fair.
that's amazing coming from a child. Really amazing. Now, have you written your life story?
No, not yet.
No.
But I tell you, your narration is so fantastic, inspiring. Your book, I know it comes from the heart. Every word is truthful, what you experienced. That will inspire many more million. After all, what you talk here, only a few hundred people or 1,000 people. You write a book, you know, that is the tradition of the PSSM. Obviously, I'm surprised Patriji has not asked you to write a story.
He's reminding me every time.
Oh, then you should do it, because that's not for, you don't need your promotion, but it will inspire. The way you are sharing your experience is only to inspire many others. Say what happened to me can happen to you and many others also. So your book will reach many more thousands, many more, millions of people. And the way you are telling the fascinating story, your book also will be more fascinating. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Let's take the question from the next one. Thank you, sir.
Sir, we have Abhishek Shukla.
Laurence, it was great listening to you today. It was really inspiring. I just started the meditation practice. I got introduced to this by Shrikant Atronam. He was my manager in my company, and because you have practiced a lot, I would like to understand how did you feel during your initial days of meditation practice, because I keep on getting thoughts. I just started. I keep on getting thoughts, and I feel less confident, right? So I would like to know from you, how did you feel? Did you get thoughts during initial days of practice, and how much time it took for you to feel confident, and and then you actually started seeing the benefits?
Sure. So the first few days, I was ready to give up. Right, I was meditating, and I was thinking I don't have the time to do it. And it's clearly with the help of Chandra that I kept doing it. So and also nobody was meditating around me. My family, my coworkers. At that time, this online session didn't exist. So it was me alone in New York at home, back from India, all excited. But then step by step, it was going down. So clearly making sure that you have somebody who's keep encouraging you is critical. The first benefit were quite fast. I had one very strong physical reaction in one of the meditation at I think it was the second week, where I really was practicing heavily, concentrating on the breath, and my body became totally like stone. That's where I became afraid and went to the doctor also. Something was happening in the body, obviously, but it happened, the second week. And then because of this, I really, because I am more on a science standpoint. So I started to research and so on. And then I started really in my head to believe that meditation is not, is really having an impact on the body, on the brain. And then I became more interested and continue to practice. But this notion of saying maybe 1 month, after 1 month, I don't know, I woke up and fear of death was gone. It was very, very, very odd. I was not afraid of death. I was still afraid of spiders, but not of death, right? You see, so things are coming up step by step. And the confidence at work or the changes is because you become aware of this famous, what is going on, your emotion and so on. You start to trust yourself better. It comes quite fast. I would say after 3 months, I was really starting to feel that I feel good enough that I can start maybe sharing and teaching. But you have to just get some help like these workshops to keep going, and don't compare yourself. That's really my advice. Don't compare, you know, at the beginning also, especially in India, I was hearing people telling stories like they were seeing your beautiful vision and colors and kind of well-known people and so on, you know, from the India, whatever, Hinduism, and I was not familiar. And I was like, I'm stupid, I don't see anything, right? So I was meditating and I was seeing like black and no vision and so on. So, you know, I got advice to not compare any experience and to not give you a target. Okay, really, really let go. The transformation is happening in the body, it's science. So don't put yourself under pressure that you need to achieve having a vision or feeling this or feeling that, or, you know, you think you see something and then you stick to it. You just have to let go. Okay, that was one pitfall I got at the beginning, because I like, all these people, they see vision, I don't see anything, so maybe it's not for me.
Thank you, Chandra sir, Karthikeyan sir, everyone in the team. Thank you.
Sheetal, go next quickly.
We have Raghu Ramalingam sir. So Laurence, he's asking, like, you know, react versus response, right? He was able to achieve at least 95% with the outside people, but when it comes to the family members, he was not able to do it fully. So how do you improve in that?
Yes, that's interesting, because I just gave a webcast session with 1,000 people on was about the apology. And you make me think about this, because I was trying to explain how to give a good apology. And interestingly enough, when you are in a company and somebody goes wrong with one of your clients, the culture of any company is to go and apologize to the client, right? You send a letter, you make a phone call, you apologize. When it comes to our family, suddenly this skill of apology is gone for many, many people. So, you know, it's the same for the response and react. Well, it's a practice. If you are not able, if you are able to respond versus react to your client or to your co-workers, it means that you have the skill. If you are not applying it to the family members, well, you need to practice more. But the skill is there and you have understood exactly. So it's it's managing the emotion, no judging. All of this has to apply also to the family members. And I can tell you, this is probably the most rewarding when you start to apply the same recipe in your family. It's going to go back positively to you and probably transform their life. Now, is it working all the time? Again, as we were joking before, sometimes, you know, we still get angry and all of this, or frustrated. It doesn't matter, do you want to stay frustrated all the weekend and go in a, you know, in a room or just rumble, or do you just want to decide to apologize or to say it's okay or to reopen the conversation. With meditation, I can tell you it's helping choosing the right options. And what helps is to read books about this. So there are very, very good spiritual books about relationship in family or with the kids. But I had big issue with my teenagers, my older. And after few months meditating, I took him to a lunch I will always remember all my life. And it was just him and me. And there was the plate of all the problems we had was full, right? So at some point I told him, hey, I meditate now. I have learned a lot of things. I have understood a lot of things. I forgive you. Completely, it's gone. Because if you are like this now, maybe it was part of your journey and you did all these very odd things for parents. But now you are who you are, and I forgive you everything. So he was super surprised. It was a kind of defining moment. And I told him, and by the way, I want you to forgive yourself. Because he was feeling, he was a little older, he did some very odd stuff at, let's say, 19, 20 years old. And we had this conversation, he was 22, 23. And I told him to, first I advised him to meditate and do mindfulness, but I told him, you have also to forgive yourself. These kind of things, 5 years ago, I would have never been able to do it. I even had a list in my drawer with all the bad things he had done. I don't know why I created this list, but it was every time I would sit, I was suffering. It was before. This list has been burned out somewhere and is gone. So you can apply this to the family, and it's really transforming the joy in the family. And it's also helping our own kids to grow up and understand what is compassion and forgiveness.
Wonderful. We'll take...
Yeah, so we have Sampath.
Thank you, Laurence.
Thank you.
As a beginner, this is a wonderful experience. I'm fortunate enough to listen to your wonderful experience. It's a really inspirational world. And thank you so much. My question to you is, how come you got the idea of making your IBM co-workers to go in for a meditation, and what kind of challenges you had initially, how you have overcome?
Okay. Well, first, why do you think about teaching people? It comes from the heart first, because you are feeling so good that you want to share. So it's clearly there is something coming here and say, well, if somebody had told me that 20 years ago, I would have gone much better. The second point is I did some research. And I discovered that many, companies and leaders, for instance, Mark Benioff in Salesforce.com, or Steve Jobs, and we mentioned them. It was brand new to me. I had no idea that they were doing meditation. So make your research and also about science. And I felt there is science. There are role models in government and in a business. So then I started to see probably IBM is a big company, and then try to find some friends to help me and actually go to HR, because it's very linked to well-being and wellness. So and again, in the last 3 to 4 years, the world has transformed. Talking meditation 4 years ago was mindfulness, okay, but meditation not so well. After the COVID, especially, big acceleration. And 4 years later, talking about meditation, it's absolutely okay, right? So it's really doing something from the grassroots and partnering with HR and the well-being and wellness people, and then started with a small group. That happened this way, and then people they see the benefit, and they also want to teach and to help and so on. So it's a kind of grassroots and pervasive. In our mindfulness community now, we have about 12,000 people who are really kind of passionate about it.
Thank you, Laurence. It's a wonderful experience to me today, listening to you, the transformation. And I myself actually, yesterday, day for yesterday, I want to share something with Chandra, sir, about my transformation by one of the aspect of teaching and learning and teaching. It was in my life has completely turned. As you said, once you know and you are confident and you are experienced, it is easy to convince others about meditation. You have to be strong enough, experience it, enjoy it, getting the benefit. You can definitely transform this to others. This is Sambat is my classmate, so I introduced him to meditation, and he is so happy, and he is enjoying it. Every day he shares whatever he is doing. So I think the key point is that once you are experiencing and knowing more about it, it is easy to convince people. Thank you very much for your sharing. I am so happy today. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll close last one with Anka Reddy as our last two. Anka Reddy. So you talked about your classmate. I'm talking about my classmate, Balsundram.
Wow, wonderful.
Yeah, so thank you, Chandra. Yeah, so I have actually, it's the third time listening to you, Laurence, and it's very inspiring to listen to you every single time. I have two questions actually. First I'll start with something that I've been thinking about last few weeks, right? So Chandra talked a little bit also based on what you touched on, right? About the performance reviews. Let's say how you give feedback to your folks, as part of your reviews, on a monthly basis, periodic, mid-year and all that. What's your general approach, for giving feedback to the folks that work you, right? Do you change your feedback based on the person, thinking about how the person is going to receive? Do you focus only on the positive things and not touch on what areas that they can improve on, right? Especially if you think that they're not going to agree with you, they're not in a position to see your feedback. That probably, creates some, negative energy between you and the other person, right? I was also wondering, did your thought process change after you started meditation, how you, go about the situation? And then the second question, is there a significance to the picture that we see, in the back, right? I think, so every time I see, I want to...
The tiger?
Yeah.
It's not a picture, it's a painting. That's why I love
okay.
it. It's an amazing painting, so it looks like a picture, but it's something I got in Thailand, right? It's a gift
Cool.
from somebody in Thailand, and I just love animals. Chandra knows my house is full of animals everywhere. So this one is not supposed to be frightening you, it's supposed to be protecting. It's a protectors. So to come to your question about feedback, so the feedback moment in a kind of annual interview, it's not supposed to be the only time you have a relationship with someone. So my first remark is, it's a continuation of a dialogue with a team worker, with an employee, and so on. So the way you have behaved during the year or during the few months or whatever with this person has a critical impact on how they're going to listen to you or look at you for their feedback. So, sometimes I have seen managers who have nearly zero relationship with their employee for a full year, and they expect to have a great feedback session at the end. My advice is, if you have to give feedback to people, officially, because there is a process and so on, once a year is not, it cannot be the only time where there is this real, two-way relationship. And then in that case, if there was ongoing kind of feedback, ongoing gratitude, or ongoing coaching and advice, the famous annual interview will have a completely different way of running and impact for both person. But yes, with the meditation and this notion of developing awareness and compassion, You have this, what I call the, you have the IQ and the EQ, emotional, intelligence, the emotional quotient is much higher. By the way, this is what the CEO now in surveys are looking, when they hire employees, is what is their EQ instead of just the IQ. So my approach has always been to be genuine and transparent, and give coaching. So sometimes I had conversation with people that I could read what they got in the previous years by other managers, and I was saying, why nobody told this, that they should develop their skills in that domain. One of the most sensitive domain is, for instance, talking in public or communication style, right? And that if you are genuinely interested by the person and you are compassionate, you can give good coaching. Okay, you are really great in that technology, but when you present this technology to someone, nobody understands. So you can be completely honest, and depends. You select the right words. I mean, there was a few times when I say, if I don't tell you that, maybe nobody will tell you ever. But then you're gonna carry this the things you could develop because you have a growth mindset. So you just balance. But I am more for telling what really will help the person to keep growing, and especially to be happy. So two things: the relationship is all year long, and then the feedback has to be really genuine. To help the person. And if you really want to help the person, you're gonna find the right words. This connection is going to be inside.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you.
That's great. I think we're going a lot of corporate depth, but this is very, very useful, and make it very, very useful. I think one of the most important subject of feedback, how do you want to approach as a leader, mindful leader versus a before and after. Be genuine and then give it, but then in appropriate words. I think there is thing that you said, Laurence, so thank you so much. Thank you, Sir, Karthikeyan Sir, and Balasundaram ji, and then Jagdish Sir, many of you. Thank you, Thangavelu ji, and Nancy Sir, and all of you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chandra, and have a great day in India.